The national champion is clad in big orange.
National champion is clad in big orange.
From 40, on the way, a knuckleball. He got it.
He will fire.
Since 2007, Tennessee has defeated
1-0. In the air, left center field. Ross on the move, won't get there. Tennessee walks it off.
Deep drive, back it goes, and the wall Davis leaps and cannot get it, and Tennessee walks it off.
You're muted again. Come on,
man,
lock in.
Did it again.
Lock
man,
in.
This is College Athletics at its absolute best, man. Welcome in to another episode of the Vol Fanatics Show. I am Michael with my co-host Skylar. Skylar, man, how we doing tonight on this evening of July the 21st?
Dare I say fired up. I'm pretty excited about a lot of things. We're going to break it down. I'm going to let you get the rundown here in a little bit. But, man, overall, I got to tell you a little bit about life. Had my first tree fall at my house this weekend.
I saw that, man. How was everything? Wasn't any major damage, was it?
I had 4 cars in my driveway, and somehow the main portion of the tree decided to fall right in between them. So very blessed. We got a few dinks and scratches, kind of like hail damage is what it looks like. So I'm going to go get an estimate to figure that out, maybe go through the claims process for the first time, so I'm a little scared. But, dude, it could have been so much worse, so I'm kind of thankful for that. But, yeah, just, we're young, going through new experiences, and never say never. So I hope you're insured, my boy. No, I'm joking. But no, it's been awesome. Michael, how are you doing, big dog?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Cannot complain at all. Another great week with the family. And, I'm super fired up because it just feels like football is right around the corner.
Oh, yeah.
Because we made a certain fan base absolutely furious at us this past week. And I'm loving every minute.
Who would have done that? Who would have gotten mad at us? We're such nice people.
I know it. I mean, I don't know why anybody be mad at us, but shout out Kentucky fans for not liking our predictions for this upcoming season. But,
okay, that makes sense. That's why they're mad. That makes sense. They're like that every year.
Between the 2 TikTok videos that I put on there of my predictions and your predictions, there are like 10,000 views on there and like 250 comments. And the vast majority of those comments are Kentucky fans just furious with us.
And honestly, that's why I love them. They're passionate, just like us.
That's right. But no, we got a loaded show tonight. So, Skylar, before we get too far into this, do you want to give us our presenting show sponsor?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. You already know. It's P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Guys, if you're trying to, start that new business, you're killing it in the customer service game, but maybe you're struggling in everything, accounts receivables, taxes, anything like that, just go online. Go to pnlbusinessservices.com. Allow the fine folks out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee to help you grow your business and keep more money in your pocket. That's what we're all here for. So thank you, P&L, for your continued support. Man, give us the rundown, and then let's get to the fun segment here to start off the show.
Yeah, so real quick on the rundown. First segment tonight, we've got a special guest. It is Joey Petersen from the Tennessee Football Talk podcast. He also does a couple other podcasts as well. I'll let him introduce himself in a few minutes. So we've got him on for segment 1, going to talk about Tennessee football, SEC Media Days, and give some predictions on DGG making his commitment tomorrow.
Is it really a prediction? I'm joking. I'm joking.
Some people think it still is, but
it's a lot, baby. Come on.
I don't know. Segment 2, we're going to talk about Mississippi State, give our predictions for them on this upcoming season. In segment 3, we're going to give predictions on Auburn for this season. So let's get right into this, as I will give you our segment 1 sponsor, which is Optimal Asbestos Services. Optimal Asbestos Services offers detailed asbestos inspections and air quality assessments. Whether you're looking to secure your home or workplace, you can trust Optimal Asbestos Services to deliver thorough and reliable solutions. You can contact Jeff Bowl at 865-223-3297 for your consultation today, or go on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So let's go right on over here and let's bring in our special guest, Joey Petersen from the Tennessee Football Talk podcast. Joey, how you doing tonight, man?
What's up, boys? We're doing good. It's a little hot down here in Dallas, Texas. Not gonna lie, we're sitting about a 104 all day long. So we're warm, but we're good. We're excited. We're ready for football season.
I hear that, man.
Dallas, Texas. I'm a ask just because I actually spent a year out there in Texas. Were you born and raised Dallas? What got you out there?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Arlington. Actually born up in the Northeast, but very quickly parents made their way back down to Arlington. Parents are both from Texas. Mom's Houston, dad's Fort Worth. And then when I want to go to college, I wanted to get out because don't love the weather, don't love how flat everything is. And so that was part of what was so appealing to me for Tennessee, kind of in my college choosing, time and time when I was going around visiting different places. And then never thought I'd be back just because I loved life in the Southeast, but then found an opening at Chat Sports, and their office happened to be down in Dallas. So they offered me a job, and I was like, all right, sweet, looks like I'm going home.
That a boy.
Yeah.
There's your softball lob. Now Michael's going to ask you the hard questions.
But no, first, before we just get into too much stuff, why don't you introduce yourself, kind of tell the folks what you do. You already mentioned a little bit that you're working for Chat Sports there, but tell a little bit about what you do there.
Yeah, so I've been at Chat Sports for 2 years now, a little bit over that. I am a host for 3 channels. I cover the Green Bay Packers, the Baltimore Ravens on our NFL side. We cover all 32 NFL teams. And on the college football side, of course, Tennessee Volunteers. Kind of starting to grow our college football coverage. I think we're sitting around 8 total channels, 7 total channels right now in the college game. Most recently added Notre Dame and Oregon this year, added Tennessee last August. And so I'm coming up on, I believe it was actually July 31. It was the day Celeste Moa committed, was my first ever show for Tennessee Football Talk. So coming around a year of covering the Vols and for Chat Sports, and man, have absolutely loved it. It's a sweet gig. I work with about 45 dudes, and it's a good time in there. It feels a little bit like a frat house, but we have fun.
Yeah, that's great, man. And congratulations on coming up on the 1 year mark. So looks like you're doing pretty well for yourself there on the Tennessee Football Talk channel. So I know it was just recently that we kind of met up on the X account and started talking a little bit there. I asked you if you'd come on with us sometime, and man, I appreciate you being willing to do that.
Of course, man. I love getting to do this. Join some guys' spaces. Jason Williams a couple of times, during last football season, a little bit early in the off season. So, getting to come on and chop it up with Tennessee fans always is fun. I don't get to do that often down here in Dallas. So, anytime I can, I'm down for it.
Yeah, we'd be more than willing to have you on at any time. So, let's get right into talking about some Tennessee football. So, obviously, Media Days was yesterday. Josh Heupel was the last one on the podium. What are some of your thoughts on his comments from Media Day yesterday?
Yeah, I think, one of the biggest things, the most surprising thing was probably the thing most people are talking about, the Lane Kiffin comment. I, for one, loved it. And not necessarily because it's he's taking shots at Lane, but I love seeing a little bit of personality. I think we all agree Coach Heupel is Mount Rushmore of coach speakers in college football. That dude can say so much without saying absolutely anything at all. It's a superpower of his, and it's funny. It frustrates us, but if we were in his space, we'd probably do the exact same thing as well. And so to see a little bit of his personality, see a little bit of his fire, see a little bit of the, competitive drive, I'm sure some of that stemmed to what went down during the offseason, early January. Lane flew, was posted all the way from, Knoxville Airport and going to get and talk to Sam Levitt. I'm sure there was a little bit of that involved in it as well. And, he's a competitor at the end of the day. And I still think it probably stings him a little bit throwing that all the way back to 2021 when, they couldn't beat Lane when he came back with Ole Miss. The checker game, the trash game, the mustard game, all that stuff. So it was that was definitely the biggest takeaway, I think, from what Heupel said, just getting to see a little bit of personality, a little bit of fire. Because, hey, man, I think this team needs it. I'm not going to say this team folded last year, but I also think, I would have loved to see a little bit more fight, a little bit more personality, a little bit more fire out of all 22 of the starters last year. So, hey, you go as your coach leads you.
Absolutely, especially in the fourth quarter of the season, really. The coach speak. Tennessee's found their ways with the head coaches lately in the last decade or so with coach speak. But, yeah, the fourth quarter last year definitely disappointing. I mean, you had kind of everything out in front of you. You just had to go take it. You had a very winnable game against Oklahoma and a game in which you probably had your worst offensive game, arguably, of the season. Just couldn't take care of the ball and then kind of let that one spiral, snowball effect, whatever you want. And then the Vanderbilt game played a really decent first half, but let the very end of the first half kind of get to you, and then you never really responded in the second half. So I think you're spot on there, Joey. I kind of want to ask about media days. The 3 Tennessee players that represented the university. Your thoughts on the 3 players? Did you agree with it, and how do you think that they performed on the podium?
Yeah, I think it's hard. When you make that decision, you want to choose guys who are looked at as leaders, guys who are well liked, but also guys you can trust to do hours and hours and hours of media on a Monday in July. And so there's a lot more that goes into that decision. Obviously, I think with the picks from a play perspective and leadership perspective of DeSean Bishop and Arion Carter, those are probably 2 guys I would have gone with as well. And then, adding in Jeremiah Telander, although we might not, love his down-to-down play for Tennessee, or at least last year, he's a guy who's been in this program for a very, very long time. So, I don't have too much to say about the guys that they chose. I think one of the coolest things that stood out to me was what Arion Carter was talking about with the defense. Obviously, you get the clip and the headline of, it's going to be mayhem. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. What I loved was him talking, pretty quickly and not for very long, but about him possibly taking some snaps off the edge. That absolutely fires me up. And for multiple reasons. Obviously, I think Arion's an athlete. And I think at the end of the day, when you have a linebacker room as deep as Tennessee's is, and you have an edge rusher room as shallow as Tennessee's is, you just go ahead and you get the athletes you want to get there out on the football field. Because sometimes it's about having playmakers. It's about having guys, that you can trust to go out there and make a stop, get to the quarterback if you need them to. And I think Arion has showed a little bit of that, in his ability to rush the passer from that linebacker spot. He's got the size sitting at 235 pounds, 6'1". Don't know the arm length. Probably going to look into that sometime along the course of the week if I could even find something like that. But, man, I think just with the question marks around Tyree Weathersby, you've never seen Jordan Norman play in the SEC, and you've got so much talent in that linebacker room, man, go flex Arion out there. Bring Edwin Spillman up and run, him and Amari Campbell out there at the linebacker spot and get Arion on the edge. I think that's something that would really, really excite me.
You got to put your best 11 on the field.
Yep.
So you got to figure out a way to do that. And I think Jim Knowles and this defense, they're going to figure out a way to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking a couple weeks ago about the linebacker room and just how deep it is and how much talent you've got there. I mean, you've got guys like, obviously, Arion Carter is going to be one of your starters, and then Jeremiah Telander is going to probably be out there as well, and then just the many others that you got in the room. I mentioned that one of my breakout players was probably going to be Jaden Perlotti this year.
Yep.
And, that's a guy that if you don't move one of those guys up to an edge rusher because of the lack of depth there, that's a guy that might not get as many snaps as you think. This is the
100%.
Opportunity that if you move Arion to that edge rusher more, hey, you could bring in Perlotti, who really came on down a stretch last year, to be on the field more, and I think that's probably one of your best 11 guys on the field at that point.
Yeah, I love the way he plays without any kind of resolve for his own body, without any care in the world
Fearless.
Of what happens to him. And I don't know if there's a lot of people that play like that anymore. He reminds me of one of those guys that would have fit on a Nick Saban defense back in 2010. And I think those are the kind of football players you want, obviously. I think he's got a lot of positional versatility to him as well. I know I talked about it in a show this past weekend of possibly going and throwing him out there in the bandit safety role. That's something we've seen from Jim Knowles, whether his days at Oklahoma State, his days, at Ohio State, just kind of a bigger, linebacker, bigger safety, I should say, that has more inside the box responsibilities, but is athletic enough to, be in coverage. He showed that in high school. He played the safety position there. And again, it's about depth. It's about getting your best players on the field. You already mentioned, man, he's buried on that depth chart. It's not because of him. It's because of talents that's there ahead of him. Like, we were at the point, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, where when Arion Carter announced that he was going to the draft, and then you added Amari Campbell, even when he came back into the portal, I was like, if he comes back, sweet. If he doesn't, you're fine. And you would have been fine. And so, man, do what you can. Get the good players on the field. TJ White, the 4-star freshman, is another guy that really intrigues me. I've done a couple of comparisons to him on my show about he and Trayvon Walker, or Jalen Walker, excuse me, former Georgia Bulldog, former top 15 pick in the NFL draft to Jacksonville. Or to Atlanta, excuse me, getting the Walkers mixed up. But very similar sizes, two guys that, are freak athletes. He has crazy long arms, TJ White does. Like, they're already, as long as everybody in this last draft, except I think Keldrick Falk out of Auburn, and I think Joshua Joseph, same arm length. And so he could fit there, man. There's endless possibilities. I'm just excited to see what Jim Knowles feels like is best for these young, talented players.
I'm glad that you brought up the true freshman on the team. I mean, both offensively and defensively, just the whole 5-for-5 thing. I kind of want to dive into that with you. How much do you think the linebackers, maybe moving Arion Carter down to the defensive line? I mean, a part of that, and it kind of, I'm going to go to basketball, even though I'm not a basketball guy, but I understand that, like, Rick Barnes is kind of in a similar situation where if a player were to come back, how much of this is also roster management? Because if you don't get those players on the field, or you maybe promise them something during the recruiting, you're also trying to, obviously, every year, you're having to recruit the same players that are even on your team. So how much of this do you think, just putting your best 11 on the field, obviously it's most important, but how much do you think roster management goes into play here?
I think it's huge, and I think that's a big part people are ignoring when it comes to the quarterback battle, which I'm sure we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But, man, I think that's a massive part of that. And I don't think that's being talked about enough. But in terms of everybody else on this roster and everybody else in that room, man, it's massive because you're right. Jaden Perlotti knows the skill set he has. If he looks, back at 2 years in this system, 2 years in Knoxville, and he's not really been playing many meaningful snaps, how inclined is he to want to come back? Especially with the alluring offers that will most likely be in the transfer portal for him. I think that's a big reason of why you've seen this coaching staff address the 2027 class the way that they have. Now, of course, it's hilarious saying that, knowing the fact that they're probably about to give an 18-year-old $2 million a year in David Gabriel George, right? It sounds a little bit ironic, but you, other than him, have one player in the top 100. Right, you're hovering around 30. If you add DGG, you'll jump up to probably the early 20s. But still, from an NIL allotment standpoint, that class is going to be far cheaper than what 2026 was, and that was on purpose. Yeah. I think they did that because they know the real young talent they've got on this roster. The David Sanderses, I'm sure they'd love to have one of the wide receivers back for another year next year. The young linebackers, the young cornerbacks. There's so many guys that they want to make sure could possibly come back in 2027. I think, their strategy in recruiting has been, okay, get the talented players you can, but don't overspend in high school because so much of it's roster management and just keeping guys in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Michael, there's a chance. I mean, he kind of brought up a good point there. The 2027 offense, there's a chance Tennessee can line out their 4 or 5 stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, we were talking about it going back to last season, basically everything is lining up for 2027 to be the year for Tennessee. You got Faison Brandon would more than likely be the starter in 27 if he's not this year. You've got the talented wide receiver core. You've got all sorts of talent at offensive line as well. And plus, now that you've got Jim Knowles, and he'll be in the second year of his defense, and he normally makes a big jump from year 1 to year 2, his defenses do. Everything's lining up for 2027 to be the year for Tennessee to go out there and compete, and it would be a disappointment if they don't go out there and win something, or at least, get into the playoffs. But, obviously we're still talking about 2026, and I want to ask you, Joey, because I don't know about you, but I'm tired of everyone saying, Tennessee is not going to be successful this year because of the inexperience at quarterback. They're going to go, Vegas had it at 7.5, the overall win total. Forget the quarterbacks right now. Because when you look at this roster, you've got a 1,000-yard rusher coming back from last season. He's an all-SEC this year. You've got you've got 2 wide receivers that were in the top 5 in the SEC last year in receiving yards. You've got the most returning starting production from any offensive line in the SEC coming back. And then you've got a tight end on the offensive side of the ball that if he stays healthy, that is an all-SEC guy, possibly an All-American. And let's not forget about, obviously Jim Knowles coming in, bringing in all this talent, not much experience at Tennessee, but loads of talent on the field at other locations as well besides Tennessee. Your thoughts on this team this season, just forget about the quarterback. Look at the rest of the roster there.
You're not going to ask about the quarterback? I know he's just dying to talk about the quarterback position.
No, we'll talk about the quarterbacks, but I want to talk about this
Thank you,
first.
Skylar.
No, I know. He's over there just holding his mouth. Like, I get it, bro. I'll ask it next. Don't worry.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, let's talk roster. First off, I'm so fired up. You mentioned Ethan Davis.
Yes.
I think Ethan Davis is far and away the best tight end Josh Heupel has ever had going into a season. Now, obviously, big question marks around his health. Can he stay healthy? If he can, Josh Heupel has never had a tight end that has quite the yards after catch ability. In fact, I just can't remember the last time Tennessee has had a tight end with that much excitement around his ability to make plays after the catch. Miles Kitselman, great blocker, great leader, sure. When he caught the ball, he looked like 2016 Jason Witten, where he just went down on first contact, right? And Princeton Fant was good. Jacob Orm was good. Colin Caskles, those guys were good. Ethan Davis has the ability to be great. And so I think that's such an underrated part of this offense, especially when you add in the fact that you will have a first-year starting quarterback. And a lot of times, tight ends are an easy check-down safety blanket option for those guys. I mean, think about, I automatically think, a guy like Dak Prescott, his rookie year in Dallas, had an unbelievable season. A big reason of that is because he was able to have a safety blanket that he could go to in that tight end room that, allowed him to have a lot of success. And I think that's going to be big for those young guys. But, man, the talent on the offensive roster is so exciting, and I look at it in 2 ways. I look at it in, number one, you could not really pick a better roster to surround a first-year starting quarterback with. 100%. But then I also look at it like that's the angel on my shoulder. And then the devil on my shoulder is like, yeah, but what if you would have gotten Joey back? Like, what could this team really have been? What's that ceiling like? And obviously it's exponentially higher just because Joey's, a massive amount of starts he's played in college football. But if you were to tell me, hey, you have to have one roster to start a first-year starting quarterback with, I think this is it. You got the talent running back, wide receiver. You got playmakers. You got guys that can get open. And you've got the most important part, which is the protection aspect of everything. Very curious from an offensive standpoint how Tennessee is going to handle scheme-wise this year. Because I think last year we saw a little bit of a regression and a little bit of a change into more of a pro-style system, which I'm sure you guys have talked about a ton. I've talked about it on my shows. More condensed formations, some under center stuff, less tempo, just more, pro-style, less normal Josh Heupel, what we would expect. Now, my question is, was that because he knew Joey Aguilar could do that? Or was that because that's where he believes this offense should be moving forward? Because if it's the former, right? If it's he believes it was because of Joey, then do we see kind of a look back into 2022, 2021, where it's a lot quicker and kind of relying on tempo, wide splits, wide receiver choice routes? very interesting to see that. But, man, from an offensive roster standpoint, very excited about it. Defensive roster, we've already talked about the linebacker room. You're getting Ty Redmond back. I think he's a really exciting prospect. I like Kayan Lee a lot. I think Quay Moss is one of my favorite underrated additions. I think the safety room is going to be exciting with Metcalf, DeSean Lane, Idris Farouk has been talked about a ton. The steps he's taken. The defensive line scares me. I'm just going to be 100% honest with you guys. I think the starters on the interior
I think the interior is going to be good, but it's the edge rushers I feel like is where we're going to see the question mark, and that's something we hadn't seen for a Tennessee defense since Heupel got in here.
Yeah, I know. And look, the interior is incredibly solid at the top. Xavier Gilliam, I think he has a chance to be one of the best interior defensive tackles you've seen at Tennessee, and then obviously David Hobbs, but we know Hobbs has a lot of injury concerns, and he has every single year. And what does that room look like behind him? Is Nathan Robinson going to step up? Or it's a bunch of question marks. Sure, they got recruited a long time ago to be able to be productive, but we haven't seen it yet. So that's a question mark right now. And then obviously with the edge rusher position, I like Jordan Norman. How's he going to be in the jump from Tulane to an SEC school? I've heard a lot of great things coming out of spring ball about Tyree Weathersby. That's phenomenal. But again, he's been in this program for quite a while, and sure, he dealt with some injuries early on in his career, but, man, it just scares me going into this year being like, okay, Tyree Weathersby, Jordan Norman, the most important part of being able to defend and win in football defensively is getting to the quarterback. That's y'all's job this year.
I think Rodney Garner's best coaching job is this year. He's going to have to step up to the plate and see what he can do, and I'm excited for it. Michael, ask the man what he's been wanting to talk about all night. Come on.
Well, before I ask
him,
I do want to.
Look at this. It's crazy. He's just beating around the bush here.
Look, I want to give him an answer to the question he asked just a minute ago about the pro style offense.
Let's hear it.
I think I've got an answer to this. So I think that he was trying to kind of mold that around Joey because he knew that he could run it. When you look at what all he has done with the quarterbacks since he's been at Tennessee. So in 21 and 22 with Hendon Hooker, he was able to play that up-tempo offense, and he ran it to absolute perfection. With Joe Milton in 23, it slowed down just a little bit because Joe could not quite handle that up-tempo the way that Hendon Hooker could. So I think that was Heupel, trying to play more towards his style. Then we saw it kind of pick up again with Nico. He was able to go up tempo again, and then last season we saw it kind of evolve and change again with Joey Aguilar. So I truly think that no matter if it's going to be Faison, if it's going to be George, he's going to try to taper that offense around what they're comfortable with, and he's going to evolve it that way. That's what I think is going to happen. It could be the up tempo. It could be more of that pro style like we saw last year, but I think that it's kind of being molded around the quarterback.
That could be the case, and I think that's a good argument for that, and there's a bunch of good reasons to do that. But I kind of keep coming back to the quote I heard from Kelsey Pope last year, and Josh Heupel said the same thing, is that after that Ohio State game where you did nothing offensively, he said we took a look at everything, stripped it all down, and really kind of tried to build it right back up. And so do you do that just for 1 year, or is that just the way you do it from here on out? And
that's a fair point.
To be what's going to be answered early on this next season.
I'll also add, I'm not going to put a ton of stock into it, solely because I do think this coaching staff does tailor to the quarterback. We also found out that Joey Aguilar had serious shoulder issues, had a tumor in his arm, and I know that he did not have the arm strength to take the top off the defense.
Yeah.
And I wonder how much that actually played into this style of offense as well. Who knows that when you have these Fajon Brennan's got the arm strength. George McIntyre, honestly, has the arm strength, probably can throw the ball 10, 15 yards further than Joey ever could. I mean, if you look at some of the pass plays last year, Joey's throwing everything he's got and still kind of underthrowing the wide receivers quite a bit. I mean, I'm thinking like the Chris Brazel against Georgia very first quarter, and I mean, that led to a defensive pass interference. It was working out. I mean, I think I'd rather underthrow a ball than overthrow it anyways, but I'm just saying, like, how much did that play into the offensive game plan? Who knows? But I think, after seeing that and hearing that after the season, what Joey was going through, how much did that dictate the play calling as well?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some of that. But I also think, we were seeing it a little bit more, prior to that injury in that Georgia game. That's when we really kind of saw, because they didn't want to, put all the chips out there on the table for Syracuse and I forget who you played week 2 this last year.
Was it New Mexico State? I don't know.
I think that was
later.
ETSU.
ETSU, because
Yeah.
UAB was week 4. And so, you don't want to put out there on the table for those two squads and then kind of bring it up something new to Georgia, and it worked really well. I think a lot of it's going to depend on, who they believe, whoever's the guy, his accuracy towards the middle of the field. I think that's a big part of that offense, and that was something Joey was able to do really, really well. But that's definitely something I'm going to be very curious in seeing. But I also think you're kind of seeing a regression, a change in the way offenses are run, not even in the college game, which you are, but also in the pro game. Like, they ran more 12 personnel, 13 personnel in the NFL this year than they ever have before. They like, heavier sets, more tight ends out there. And I think that's something that Tennessee could kind of, transition to as well as we see the game kind of evolve. It felt like, mid-2010s, the Art Briles, those guys in the world really kind of flashed onto the scene. It was spread. It was sexy. It was air raid. It was throw the football, score 50 points a game. And now it feels like, it ebbs, it flows. Nick Saban won a national championship throwing the ball 11 times. He also won a national championship throwing the ball 45 times. And so things change.
Changing a quarterback and
whatever. Things change. And they might be changing now back a little bit to more what it was like maybe in the early 2010s, late aughts.
Yeah. All right, so I won't make you wait any longer. Joey, your thoughts on this quarterback competition. Do you feel like Faison has got the advantage, or do you think that George, with his year of experience, is going to get the start? I'm not even going to throw Ryan Staub out there, because if he ends up starting, we got a lot bigger problems.
And to add to that, DeSean Bishop kind of let that slip. He said in the quarterback competition on the podium, he said both those guys are, and then he was like, well, all of them. And I was like, that a boy. I was like, we all knew. It's all good, but go ahead, Joey. Take the floor, man.
Way to catch yourself. Yeah, I feel like not to preview something we're about to talk about. It does feel like Ryan Staub is a little bit of the Ole Miss in the DGG battle, where it's like Ohio State, Tennessee, and then Ole Miss is like, oh, we're coming as well. That kind of feels like what Ryan Staub is like. Exactly. So you tell me there's a chance. So I think that if you're asking who has the advantage, I still think it's George McIntyre because of the year-long run and practice and just being around this team in the meeting rooms, the knowledge that he took in over the last year and a half since he's been on campus in Knoxville, Tennessee. I am not ignorant enough to believe that does not give him an advantage still, even after spring ball. But I still don't think he's going to be the quarterback. I think everything coming out of spring told us everything we needed to know. And that if those two guys are head and head, right, if they're neck and neck, if they're right at the top thing, this thing's tied, this thing's truly a battle, man, that should kind of give us the answer. Because
not even the younger guy, right? Just the high side, right? Like the top. What do you think the most potential you're going to get out of both guys? And if they're already neck and neck,
100%. So many things coming out. It's like if they already neck and neck after that was April, right? That was 4 months. Faison had been on campus 120 days, and you're already neck and neck with a guy who's been there for over a year. Like, let's just talk about rate of development. You are where he is in 4 months. It took him 16 months to be there. So if you guys are truly neck and neck, how do I think you're going to keep on developing over the next 4 months by the time we get into fall camp? like if we're just doing basic math here, like you got to lean Faison Brandon, and that's just taking out the player element of it. And then if you're taking the talent into it, man, you go with the guy who can make more plays when the pocket breaks down. That's Faison Brandon. I think George McIntyre is a better athlete than a lot of people give him credit for, but he's not Faison, right? I think that's such a big part of this offense. I think that's something we missed a little bit with Joe Milton in 2023, something we missed with Joey last year in 2025. Is a quarterback that can't just extend plays, but he can make it with his legs. I think Faison gives you that more. And then I think, like I teased earlier, there's the entire roster management side of everything.
Yes.
That, unfortunately, is a massive part of this game right now, right? And I don't know how that's going to get fixed. I don't know if it will get fixed, but that's the college football we're living in right now. And so if you're Josh Heupel, you look at it and say, okay, I could go with George, and he's got a decently high ceiling. He's got a lot of talent, but like, does that mean Faison's going to ever take a snap in Knoxville, Tennessee? Because if he does well, George is probably the guy in 2027. Is Faison going to sit 2 years? Not a lot of these guys are Ty Simpson. Right, that's not the college football we live in right now, and so you go with a guy maybe who, you could get 3 years starting out of instead of the 2, and who has the higher ceiling, who you're probably paying a lot more money, it's starting to make a lot more sense in my opinion that it's
really
going to
good
be phase on.
comparison. I feel like George McIntyre is kind of like the Ty Simpson if he doesn't win this.
Yeah.
Do you not?
Yeah.
Like, very similar story. And the 5 to play 5, it's not like his chances are over. I mean, Fajon Brendan could go to the NFL in 2 or 3 years, and then he could still get his chance.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, I think that, Fajon's not going to sit for 2,
No.
and be like, all right, cool, 2028, I'm the guy. You were a top 10 quarterback in your class. You're not doing that, right? And so I think there's nothing like it's human nature to have that part of the decision. Like, it's not computers making these. It's not just analytics, what gives us. It's like you got to think about everything, all the variables. And I just think there are more in favor of Fajon. And also at the end of the day, he might just be the better quarterback. And like, that's what you want. And if everything else falls into line, phenomenal. That's great. But like, who's going to give us the best chance to win? Who's going to be the most accurate? Who's going to make the least amount of mistakes? And I think a lot of that could be Fajon.
I love it. Well, Joey, man, I'm going to talk about one more thing that's on my checklist. And you actually had posted a video about it earlier today.
Posted a million about it, man.
Yeah.
Skylar, it's been all I'm doing.
My bad. Didn't mean to disrespect there. No. Of course, we got to talk about DGG, man. It's been kind of crazy. There was a lot. Man, Pete Nakos has a thumb on this university. I don't know what it is, but it seems like when all the news breaks loose, he's one of the very first people to break it. And that's exactly what he did yesterday. And he flipped his prediction and said that he's going to the Tennessee Volunteers, put in a crystal ball. And then today we had 2 more analysts do the same thing, including Steve Wiltfong. So, Joey, I asked you this, man. DGG, is he a Vol or is he an Ohio State Buckeye?
Yeah, I think he's a Vol. At this point, it's like it's everything's leaning that way. And I don't know if you guys saw this. It was sent to me by one of my buddies in the multiple Tennessee group messages I'm in. It was asked, Jeremy Birmingham, who's like the Austin Price over there at Ohio State, was asked on a message board, is it safe to say the fight is over? And he said, I would think so, yes. And that came down, like 2 hours ago.
Was it the Buckeye fans' fault that sent him a DM?
It may have been. That might have been the final nail in the coffin.
Hey,
so,
I'm just saying these predictions flipped after that. I'm just saying,
yeah. And so that's a hilarious small side of this, but I think that at the end of the day, why I have remained confident, and I went back today and looked at this show. It was June 12th, so 5 weeks ago, over that a little bit.
Yeah.
I said at that point in time, Ohio State may have raised their limits, but they have a limit. I don't think Tennessee does in this recruitment. I think ultimately that's what's going to win out. Now, obviously, Tennessee's built the relationships. His best head coaching relationship is with Josh Heupel. Darrell Sims has built a great kind of, back and forth with DGG. I think he trusts him. You've got the guys who have been at Baylor, Jermaine Theodore, Gabe Osenda, that are on this roster. That gives him comfort in that way. I think Tennessee's done a great job in recruiting this, but you always kind of knew DGG meant more to Tennessee than it did to Ohio State because they have 3 guys in the top 25.
They also took Legend Bay last year.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and we took David Sanders the year before that.
That's right.
So there we go.
Well, I just meant they have that next running back already lined up.
100%. Yeah. And they've got 3 guys in the top 25 already committed. They've got 6 in the top 100, and all that's a credit to Ohio State for how good they are. Recruiting in this sport. It's a reason they've been at the top of it for a decade plus. But because of that, it was just too obvious to me. It was like, okay, DGG's Tennessee's number 1 guy. They're not going to just let him go. They're going to raise the price. They're going to make sure they get him. And I think that's exactly what they did. And it's so funny because I talked about this morning, man. You're going to hear a ton of Buckeye fans be so upset and be like, oh, Tennessee sucks. The only way they can get good talent is by paying a lot of money for it. And it's like, okay, well, the way you turn your program around is by getting elite players. And if you haven't had decades of success to sell over the last, a good bit of time, like Ohio State does, then sure, you're going to have to pay a little bit of money to get these guys. Guess what? That's the name of the game. That's recruiting. Like that's it. And so I don't think that's all of it for Tennessee. I think, you don't get to the spot to give an NIL pitch without doing the work before. you don't get the spot to make an offer without building that relationship and getting that trust in the first place. But I've always kind of felt good about where Tennessee stands just because of the priority DGG is to their class. And, man, I think he's going to be a great player. I think he's wired different than a lot of these guys. I think just the work ethic he has. I just think he's one of those rare kind of breeds of kids nowadays who he's just kind of about playing football. Doesn't like to do a lot of media, doesn't like to do a lot of talking, just likes to go out there and run the football and score touchdowns.
I read a report, and I want you to kind of verify, maybe you didn't, but he actually took his official visits and didn't want to hear the offer from the schools because he wanted to truly feel how the university was, the facilities. He wanted to take all that in without even knowing the numbers. Was that accurate?
Yeah, I think it was. I mean, I think that was Simmons who had that report.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
I've got no reason but to trust a guy like Chad Simmons in that area. I mean, he's got a lot more sources than I do.
That's just so cool to hear. I mean,
it is cool to hear, man. It's really cool. And I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. And I think that, you've seen what Josh Heupel's done with 3-star running backs, with 4-star running backs. You got a 3-star to be the 120th overall pick 2 years ago in Jalen Wright. You had a 4-star who was the 126th overall pick in Dylan Sampson. You have a guy who was a 3-star who technically was like a preferred walk-on for you, who has just got 1,000 yards and is going to get drafted sometime soon. And so, man, imagine what he's going to be able to do with a 5-star talent, top of the line. Man, guys at 247 are saying – he's not only the best running back they've evaluated in years, he's the best player in this class, just from like a ceiling standpoint. So I'm fired up about it. You wanted him. You got him. Hopefully, obviously, knock on wood, things can change, I guess, over the next 20 hours or so. But, man, I'm really liking where Tennessee's sitting. And I've liked it for a while, but especially after everything that's transpired over the last 48 hours. If you get a crystal ball, they don't mean anything to me, if we're a month out. If they're 48 to 24 hours out,
that makes
pay attention.
Yes.
Yeah, pay attention.
Yeah, and I'm glad that the first thing that you brought up was the relationship that he has with the coaching staff.
Wait, so it's not about money? So it's
it's still about money, obviously, but no, you bringing up the relationship he has because he has a fantastic relationship with the running backs coach there at Ohio State. Probably
amazing.
Probably a better relationship than he has with any of the coaches at Tennessee. But
100%.
You brought up a fantastic point that he's got a great relationship with Darrell Sims, with Josh Heupel. He's got it with multiple coaches at Tennessee. He's got it with one coach at Ohio State.
Yeah.
There's a good friend of mine that I've worked with some, J.R. Rhodes. He runs the Big Ten Huddle podcast. He came on there today and he was like, yeah, he's got such a great relationship with the Ohio State coach and all that. It's time for Ryan Day to put the nail in the coffin. And that tells me that he really doesn't have a good relationship with Ryan Day. Because you're not hearing Tennessee fans, Tennessee reporters talk about, oh, Josh Heupel's got to put the nail in the coffin. Josh Heupel has been there every part of his recruitment along the way. So that tells me a lot right there when it comes to the relationships. And then obviously the money has a big thing to do with it as well.
Yep.
But I'm with you. I feel really, really good about this commitment tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern.
Yeah, I do as well. And I think at the end of the day, if you want to get better and you want to win more football games, you got to get elite players and you got to get elite talent. And they're trying their best to do that. And that's the name of the game. I think this will be a good lesson. If this is something that ultimately does not work out, then I think you do take a long, hard look in the mirror and you say, okay, do we have to change up our strategy? We've gone big money on a couple of players over the last couple of years. Not all of them have panned out like we hoped they would. Maybe we change things up. But if you're looking at DGG, as a lot of these reports are saying Tennessee is, as like a generational player, as a, game-changing, can't-miss, day-one starter, he's being compared to Adrian Peterson and Herschel Walker. I expect him to come in there and just, not get every single carry because Tennessee's still going to rotate guys. But, he's going to be the bell cow as a true freshman. And if you're thinking that that's a guy you're going to be able to have for 3 years, awesome. And it's funny because $2 million now and 3 years from now, it's not going to be that much money. That's like the Nico deal.
Exactly.
Right? When he was high school – when he committed, that deal was insane. And then by the time those rumors come around spring of 2024.
Carson
you're kinda
Beck's
You're kind of looking around saying, man, he actually isn't making that much money comparatively. And so it's like things are going to change. It's like the salary cap in the NFL. Everybody's always the highest paid wide receiver, highest paid quarterback. When Patrick Mahomes did his deal in 2020 for 10 years, $500 million, everybody thought that was earth shattering. Right now, $50 million doesn't even get you in the top 10 of quarterbacks in the NFL. And so, like, things change. Money grows. It's just the way of life. It's the way of sport. And so, this is an investment. This is your RB1 in 2029. So if you feel like he's a guy, 2 years of experience, you feel good about paying $2 million to, dude, let's run it, spot the ball, let's go play some football and jam it down some people's throats on 3rd and 2.
So Joe, we got to ask you this. Rhonda is a longtime listener of ours. She's on here every week. She wants to know, are you going to be doing the live football games again this year on your channel?
Rhonda, that is a phenomenal question. I will be doing them.
Hey.
I'm fired up about it. I also, Rhonda, speaking of DGG, will be going live for his commitment tomorrow. I don't know what your guys' plan is. So
We watching you?
Okay, there we go. Everybody come on, join. We're going to be going live early. I believe 4 Eastern is when we're doing it. We're doing like an hour and a half build-up hangout. Me and my producer, we're like, man, we've got all these graphics on DGG that we're not going to be able to use much after this. Let's just go chop it up. It's July. What else are we doing in the office? Let's get an hour and a half build-up. Let's get it going. Let's throw a party, and let's hopefully get a commit tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, Joe, really appreciate you coming on the podcast with us tonight. But before you go, will you once again tell the folks where they can find you so they can follow your work?
There we go. Appreciate you guys again for having me on. I'm most active, obviously, YouTube. We're posting every single day. You can find that at Tennessee Football Talk by Chat Sports. You could find me on Twitter at Joey Petersen 8. Tweet nonstop about DGG over the past couple of weeks. That'll probably change sometime very soon. And then you can find me on TikTok at Joey_Balls.
Yeah, and if you need those links, we do have them in the YouTube description. Make sure that you go there, follow him on all those accounts. He does some great work over there, and we really appreciate you, Joey, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us. Just a lowly Tennessee podcast, but we love talking ball with anybody that wants to come on with us.
Boys, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. Let's do it sometime again soon.
Let's do
Absolutely,
it.
Man.
Thank you
Sure
so much,
will.
Joey.
Of course. Happy to be here.
So that is Joey Petersen from the Tennessee Football Talk podcast. Make sure that you do go follow him on YouTube, TikTok, and on the X. Once again, all of those links are in the YouTube description. Joey is a great guy. I really enjoyed this talk that we had tonight with him.
You want to hear an interesting? Actually, it's a fun fact about Joey Petersen. He got one of my favorite podcasters on his show not too long ago, JD Piquel.
Nice.
That was one of his guests not too long
So-
ago. I was
so
like,
that-
okay, like
That
Joey knows
tells
ball,
you,
dude.
that right there tells you the difference between Joey and between us. He's able to get JD
yeah.
Piquel, and
Dude, we got Joey. Joey's way better than JD. Come on, don't even sell him
That's-
short. Yeah,
that's a fair point. But no, really appreciate him coming on tonight. And
yeah, no.
there's a reason we did not put this up while he was still on here.
Buddy, I hate to tell you, but the reason why we can never finish that is we're from Tennessee. We actually don't know how to spell the rest of whatever you're trying to. It's whatever. It's fine. Anywho's, what's next, dude? That was a fun segment. That was so awesome. Talking ball with Joey Petersen. Talking Vol football. He delivered, in my opinion, some of the best news a Vol fan could hear in July. And then also backed it up with what we have all been kind of discussing all spring, summer long, and that's that we really do feel like Fajon Brandon has taken that step forward in this quarterback battle. I'll further that to say, I think he made a good point that George McIntyre probably still has the advantage because I don't feel like George McIntyre has to necessarily. You listen to Josh Heupel say, you got to learn it, earn it, and take it, right?
Yeah.
I feel like in a way George McIntyre doesn't have to do that as much because of the experience that he has in the system. So in a way, I feel like Fajon Brandon still has to go out there and take that job, and that may be what Josh Heupel's waiting on, is for him to just go out there and take it. But ultimately, you can't deny what we're all seeing. I mean, film doesn't lie. So I love it. Love that Joey Petersen kind of gave us the news that we were wanting, and not just because we wanted it though, but because he truly feels that way, because he wouldn't say it if he didn't truly believe it. So love that. Yeah, Thank you for doing all the work to get him on here.
It wasn't any work at all. I just mentioned it to him, and man, he was excited about it. I was like, man, it's the least work I've had to do to ever get a guest on here. So, but no, really appreciate him, and cannot wait to have him back on in the future. That you mentioned, that was a lot of fun. But we're going to move ahead to segment 2. We got 2 more predictions that we got to talk about tonight, and we're going to start with Mississippi State. But before we do that, I do want to give you our segment 2 sponsor, which is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, Mississippi State, team we are going to talk about first tonight. We've got Jeff Lebby in his 3rd season, and I feel like for Jeff, this is a prove-it season. Obviously, in year 1, a little bit disappointing. I think he went 3-9, 4-8 in year 1. Stepped up and went 5-7 last year. Really played some opponents tough. I mean, played Tennessee right down to the wire. Game went to overtime. Had a couple other games where games were close. They just couldn't quite pull it out. And I feel like you have to see another, at least slight bit of improvement this year, or you start talking about what's next at Mississippi State. What are your thoughts, Skylar?
Man, I don't know. I think last year is so unfortunate because you look at like the record last year. I mean, he started 4-0, took Tennessee to overtime at home and lost that one in a heartbreak. You look at another game that honestly they could have won, and that's, I believe they took Texas. They had like a double-digit lead in the 4th quarter.
Oh yeah, they should have beat Texas, and then they
ended up somehow
giving
lost that one too. So like a part of me is so torn on Mississippi State because I don't think I'm maybe that high on them. I don't know. Truth be told, I haven't really done the prediction yet. I like to do that live because I just don't like to second guess myself. But
yeah, and sorry to cut you off, but was last season the one where Florida had the lead and Mississippi State was driving down the field and then threw that just awful interception that ended up sealing the deal?
Oh, God, it probably was. I cannot remember.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that game. I remember the Texas game because we were at Kentucky. I remember seeing the scoreboard thing on the stadium, and I'm like, holy crap, Mississippi State's beating the dog crap out of Texas. And then, like, I swear it was like the last quarter alone, and you just seen Texas keep creeping. And it was like every update that we seen on the scoreboard, it was like Texas done scored another 7 points. That was like I didn't even care about the game, but I'm just like, man, if you're a Bulldog fan, that had to have just hurt. But no, I'm kind of torn on this season, man. I do think Jeff Lebby's doing the right things, but man, you got to go get the results. It doesn't matter how it looks, how ugly it feels, or whatever. You got to go get it. So with that being said,
I'll let you think about it a little bit longer. I'll go ahead with my prediction here.
Boy, I appreciate it. I was waiting you to. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody's tuned in right now. By the way, you can tell that it's talking season. The start of football season's here. Got a lot of people tuned in. We appreciate you guys. Be sure to like and subscribe. But we're gonna get into this preview. Let's go.
Yeah, so Mississippi State starts off the season against UL Monroe. I think they get a win in that game. Week 2, traveling up to Minnesota. And I think this is going to be a really, really intriguing game. You know, Mississippi State, kind of middle, lower tier of the SEC. Minnesota, kind of middle, lower tier of the Big Ten. I think this is going to be a great game. It's going to be a great measuring stick for both of these teams going into this season. And I think that Mississippi State actually goes up to Minnesota and they pull out a win in that game. So starting off 2-0. This is where I think that Mississippi State does stumble a little bit. I think that first road game of the season, going up against South Carolina, I think that South Carolina does pull that one out to give them their first loss of the season. But then I think that they bounce back in a big way and get a victory against Missouri in the 4th game of the season. Start off 3-1, entering a very tough stretch here in the middle of the season. So
probably
they
the
host.
toughest.
Yeah, I think this might be the toughest stretch that we have seen from the schedules that we have done so far, other than maybe Arkansas. But Alabama on October the 3rd. I think that's going to be a loss there at LSU. I don't know if this is going to be a day game or a night game. If it's a day game, I think Mississippi State kind of keeps it close, but a night game, I think LSU has got all of the advantage. And you're right, they've got a bye week before then. And let's see. I don't really think – so it doesn't help Mississippi State all that much because LSU the week before has got Kentucky in Lexington.
Oh, so that's a bye week for LSU too. All right, cool.
Yeah, so
let's keep pissing them off. I'm joking.
But no, I do think that they lose that game to LSU. Oklahoma. I feel like this is a very
Oklahoma team.
Interesting spot to get Oklahoma sandwiched in between LSU and Texas, both of those being road games.
Oklahoma's a good team, man.
Oklahoma, before they play this game, they play Texas and Dallas, and then they play Kentucky at home. So not really much of an advantage for Mississippi State there, but I've got this sneaky feeling that Mississippi State is going to pull an upset somewhere on this schedule.
No.
I think it's Oklahoma at home.
Okay.
I think they get a win against Oklahoma here.
I dig it.
They travel to Texas on Halloween.
They ain't following that up. Go ahead.
No, they're losing. They are losing that game 100%. Vanderbilt. I think this could be a huge swing game for Mississippi State in particular. I think Vanderbilt and Mississippi State this season are going to be on very similar tiers. And I think Mississippi State has a slight advantage with this game being at home. I think Vanderbilt's still going to be a very competitive team, but they're obviously going to take a step back from last season. Just all the pieces that they lost, the quarterback, wide receiver, the offensive line. They've still got weapons there. They got a 5-star quarterback. But I think I give Mississippi State advantage here with the home game, and they get a win against Vanderbilt. Auburn, the very next week, I'm kind of going against what I've been saying as far as home field advantage here, but I think Auburn is going to be really hitting their stride towards the end of the season with Alex Golish and Byron Brown at quarterback. I think that Auburn comes into Starkville and they take a game from Mississippi State. They do get a win against Tennessee Tech to reach bowl eligibility, but then they do lose the Egg Bowl. I feel like that's a game where if it was being played in Mississippi State this season, then I think I give advantage Mississippi State. But with it being in Oxford, I think that
you also got
Ole Miss is going to win that game.
They've got the 8th year. I'm joking. Trinidad Chambliss. I mean, dude, Ole Miss is still going to be decent just because of the returning production they brought from last year, even with the whole craziness thing. Like I kind of mentioned, a head coach may not actually be like Jeff Laban may be better, right, than Pete Golding, but the talent, unfortunately, on the field still may outweigh whatever. I think you're right. This is a really good record, though. I think this is actually a really good season if you're Jeff Levy.
Yes.
I know that sounds dumb, but if you get a win over an Oklahoma, over a Vanderbilt that went 10-2 last year, over a Missouri who's got a lot of high expectations, I think this is a solid season.
Yeah, and I've got a pretty decent floor for them as well. This isn't a 2-10 floor like I have said in previous years for Mississippi State. I think that you win that UL Monroe game, you win Tennessee Tech, and I think that you find a way to win 2 games somewhere. Is it that Minnesota game on the road? Is it 2 SEC games somewhere in this schedule? I think they find a way to win 4 games this year, and I think 4-8 is their absolute floor. As far as the ceiling goes, I think it's 8-4 is the absolute ceiling for this team. You find a way to pull off 2 games somewhere. Based on my prediction, I think you pull off the game against South Carolina on the road. You pull off the game against Auburn, and I think that gets you to 8-4 as your absolute ceiling for this team this year.
And there you have it. That a boy, Michael. 6-6 overall. What a prediction! I think we're starting to get into those chaos-y type predictions where you have a feel on where you think they're going to be, but man, it can really be the floor or the ceiling going into the November of the season. You're like, wow, we were way wrong on that or whatever, because I feel like I'm gonna be way wrong because I don't feel like I'm giving Jeff Levy enough respect, and I don't want to give him too much respect and then go off of a prediction that I think it could happen, but man, it just isn't going to happen. But I don't know. We'll find out. I think I'm going to start out with you though. They're starting hot in my prediction. I think they beat Monroe. They go to Minnesota, even though that's a road game. I think they beat them pretty easily. I think they even go on the road to beat South Carolina to start the season. I think Jeff Lebby, man, I do like him as a coach. Missouri is my first game where I'm just like, holy pick 'em. Like, I don't know. But I have to believe that Missouri, I like that pickup that they got, man.
When it comes to quarterback play, I think it's advantage Austin Simmons, but Kamarion Taylor, man, he really came on towards the end of the season for Mississippi State. But I do think that experience and talent wise, Austin Simmons gets the advantage.
I like that pickup.
Kamarion Taylor.
I like that pick. It's probably one of the better quarterbacks. I don't know. He's got to stay healthy. That's the problem in Missouri is the quarterback's just not been able to stay healthy the last couple of seasons. So obviously Ahmad Hardy should be fully healthy maybe by then. I don't know. They're kind of playing it like a he's cleared but not ready. So I don't know when that ready is going to be. I mean, dude got shot in the knee. So I mean, all prayers to him in the recovery process. Sounds like it's going really well though. Alabama, I just don't see it this year. There's a lot of stress on Kalen DeBoer. So they probably are going to lose that game. And if they do somehow find a way against Bama at home, Kalen DeBoer is probably not going to be at Alabama much longer. If not
even
fired.
after that extension.
Yeah, that don't mean anything. You got to get people. Yeah, no. You lose to Mississippi State, brother, in a year that you're supposed to, whatever. He's got a new quarterback too, so there may be some grace. I don't know. We'll see. At LSU, this is a winnable game. LSU is not invincible, okay? And I feel like Mississippi State's beaten Lane Kiffin, right? Several times in the Egg Bowl. Maybe a couple times in the Egg Bowl. No?
So when it was Mike Leach, I think
that's
they
right.
beat him
I know that was And then I don't think they may not have beaten them since. I don't know. I can't.
I don't
remember.
think they've beaten them.
I don't
since.
Really watch that game wholeheartedly. LSU. I'm just gonna go with my gut here. I think they lose to LSU. Sam Levitt. I don't even think he's that good. I just think he's got talent around him. That's just insane. I think that defense for LSU is going to be pretty nasty. Oklahoma, same deal, man. That defense is too good for Oklahoma. What Brent Venables has been able to build out there is pretty insane. If he can keep his offensive weapons healthy, last year just could not keep a wide receiver on the field on top of their quarterback, right? Having his struggles. So, and that's honestly the last couple of years, Oklahoma receivers just not been able to stay healthy. No, at Texas, this is just a tough stretch, man. I don't see it. Nope, I've skipped one. That's a tough one. And you're on the road as well. Vanderbilt, though, who knows what Vanderbilt looks like with the new quarterback.
Jared Curtis.
Yep, Jared Curtis. I can't remember. They don't have the good tight end anymore, do they? No,
they don't have Eli Stowers.
They still have a good running back.
Yeah, they still got Cedric Alexander, I believe is his name.
I'm going to give Mississippi State the win there. Yeah, I can do that. Vanderbilt, I think, is going to be good. I think they're going to have plenty of talent. I don't know if they're going to be able to protect Jared Curtis. So I don't know if he's going to be healthy at this point of the season. I'm going to give the nod to Mississippi State. Really, I'm giving the nod to Jeff Lebby. I think he's too good of a coach to just get beat this badly, this much in a row. I don't think he's going to lose his job here. I think that's a gauntlet. Missouri's even a good team. So, I mean, honestly, we could talk about a 5-game stretch there. It's just insane. We could honestly, I don't know, this whole stretch. Welcome to the SEC. Auburn. I like Alex Golesh, man. I do. Mm-hmm. I'm going to give it to Auburn. Tennessee Tech, I do think they beat Tennessee Tech, and then I think they lose to Ole Miss. So I've got them finishing 5-7, just one game off of you on the season, but I do have them picking up 2 key wins in the SEC to finish 2-7 in the SEC. I think their floor here, is, let's go 3-9. I still think they pick up Monroe, Tennessee Tech. And they're going to win one of Minnesota, South Carolina. I don't know any of them. They could beat Ole Miss in a rivalry game. Who knows? But I think their ceiling really is 7-5. I don't see. Maybe they beat Auburn. Alex Golesh first year. Who knows that depth on that team? And And then kind of the same thing with Ole Miss. That's the very last game of the season. What if Ole Miss didn't hit those expectations with those star players that they have? Are they even still bought into the season, or are they checked out looking for the NFL draft? That's what intrigues me about the Egg Bowl this year. But if Ole Miss is rolling and grooving and they're making the playoff, then obviously watch out Mississippi State. That's going to be a rough game for you guys. So, no, I think the floor is 3-9, and the ceiling is 7-5.
All right, so that is our Mississippi State predictions tonight for this season. And I wonder if we're going to have anybody get mad at us for Mississippi State, which, honestly, I feel like we were pretty good on Mississippi State. Not that we're super high, but I feel like that's a good spot for Mississippi State this year. It's definitely something to keep.
It's not the growth. It's not the growth that their fan base wants. But
no, it's not.
You've got to realize this schedule ain't helping much. You're not to the point right now where you can go and face 4 top 6, 7 teams in the SEC back to back like that and expect it. I don't know. That's hard on any team. That's hard for Alabama. That's hard for Georgia to have a gauntlet like that. You know what I mean? So that's tough, man. We'll see.
Yeah, so we're going to move ahead to our segment 3. We're going to talk about Auburn, but before we do that, a word from our segment 3 sponsors.
Let's go.
At Bowie's Heating and Air, we offer 24/7 HVAC services for all your residential, commercial, and new construction applications. Guys, when your home feels off and the comfort's not there, do yourself a favor and call Bowie's Heating and Air.
So that is Bowie's Heating and Air. And they're getting a lot of business right now with it as hot as it is outside. So if you have any AC problems going on, definitely give them a call. I know they'd be happy to have your business, try to get you back.
Working a lot together right now, actually.
Yeah.
As, people that didn't insulate their ductwork is now realizing that can condensate.
Yeah.
So water damage and HVAC work. So, yeah, it's working out right now. It's good.
Yeah. There you go. So, Auburn is who we're going to talk about now. Let's get this schedule graphic changed over. So,
dang, we did Auburn over Vanderbilt? That's crazy. I'm joking. That's fine.
So, obviously, we've been talking about Auburn a little bit, and that's because former Tennessee offensive coordinator Alex Golesh taking over as the head coach at Auburn. We're both pretty high on Alex Golesh, and not just because he is a former Tennessee coach, but because of
exactly why.
But because of what he has done at the previous stop and what he can bring to Auburn. He was a very good coach at South Florida. I mean, really, last year with South Florida, he had his team, a game or two away from being in the American
the splash wins. Yeah, I was going to say.
The American Conference Championship. Yep. You win that, then you're likely, in the conversation for a group of 5, or that automatic spot in the playoffs for the best group of 5 team. So, I mean, he did that in 2 seasons at South Florida, and now he's getting his shot in the SEC in a Power 4 program.
With the quarterback that's getting a lot of love in the media right now.
Yes.
One of the most prolific. I think he was like the all-time yards leader with the most passing and most rushing in a single season. I mean, yeah, he's got some talent, man. Lost a big wide receiver, but
yeah, I would have loved for him to have kept Cam Coleman, but I understand the reason why Coleman left. Going to Texas, he's guaranteed to get a lot of playing time out there. Got a little bit more, firepower, I guess you would say, with Arch Manning. A little bit more promise there, but I really think Byron Brown's going to have himself a great year at Auburn.
I think to numb it down, I think he only wants to play one more year in college, and he's trying to go all the way. And I think he just went with the team that he felt like could do that, right? I mean, if you're...
But at the same time, yeah, you're going to the bigger name. They might can get you there, but at Auburn, you were going to be the featured wide receiver, man.
You were, but that can sometimes be, that can put a lot of weight on your shoulders. It could lead to injury. Pressure. It could lead to, it can. It's not always necessarily the best to be the best on the worst team. And I don't even mean that to be that disrespectful to Auburn, but if we're just comparing Texas and Auburn right now, let's be honest, it's not always the best thing to be the best on the worser team. That's not whatever.
I get what you're saying.
I went to Tennessee Southern. So, anyways, no, I mean, you make great points, man. But I do like what Alex Golesh has done. I love the path that he's taken. Very reminiscent of Josh Heupel's path to becoming a head coach in the SEC. Was a coordinator in the SEC, went to a smaller, I don't even know what conference UCF is in. I think they may be in the Pac-12 or Big 10.
They're in the Big 12.
Yeah, Big 12 now. But either way, like taking that route, people forget that Dylan Gabriel, like Oregon's better quarterback here in the last couple of years, he recruited him to UCF. So it's just the way they are able to find talent, analyze it, put it on the field. It's pretty special. And I think Alex Golesh has a lot of that ability. And so I think Auburn's going to be in. I said it when they hired the man. It's one of my favorite hires of the offseason. Kind of scares me a little bit. And especially the fact that they're on the schedule scares me a lot. So I don't know, man. But we'll get into it. I'm going to go first since you decided to go first on the last one. But they play Baylor to start the year. Baylor's no slouch. It is a mutual site game, but man, I don't know. Baylor just picked up a pretty highly talented. I'm not going to call him a recruit. It was a transfer. Who went to Baylor that I'm trying to think of right now, and I cannot think about it.
DJ Lagway.
That's right, former Florida. Oh, Auburn winning all day long.
I'm glad we're in the same boat on that one. Just a spoiler, I'm giving a win for Auburn as well.
I'm sorry. Literally, it's getting late, bro. I'm sorry, I gotta lock you in. I'm just all right.
Baylor went out the window as soon as.
Oh God. Oh, and I said he was a highly touted transfer. No, he wasn't.
Well, he was.
He was until nobody wanted him, and then he just whatever. Southern Miss, I do think they get the win. I'm so sorry, everybody that's watching. That was, yeah. So Auburn starts 2-0 in the season. Did you see what Alex Golesh said today in a press conference about the Florida matchup? He was talking to Chris Doering. Talking to Chris Doering in an interview. Now, this was clipped up, put on Facebook. Take it for what you will. I'd like to think that it was true. But he said, tell your boy to be ready for that third week of the season. He was basically calling out John Summerall because he was talking to Chris Doering. So he's already added some spice to this matchup. I freaking love it. And I think Auburn's going to be up to the task. I love that they get this game at home to open up the SEC as well. You're looking at a potential hire, right, where you're starting the season 3-0, 1-0 in the SEC, and everybody in the Auburn fan base and the donors and all that, they're cooking. Yeah, I was having a moment. I'm sorry. I thought it was just funny, though. It like made the decision so easy for me when I figured out. It was all right. But Auburn's sitting pretty right now. They go and play Vanderbilt, and I genuinely don't know on this game. I'm going to go with the home team. Vanderbilt, I swear, is a better team than what I think I'm going to end up having their record be just by the other. Yeah, because this will be the third team I have beating them in the bottom half of the SEC. I just don't think that's true. So I already know that my predictions are crap, but I do think Auburn comes out firing and they start the month or the month of September. They sweep. They go 4-0. But I had to have them going 4-0 because who do they meet in the first week of October? Mm-hmm. And your boy's going to be throwing a cellgate. And we're going to have a lot of friends over. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be not hostile. We love Alex Golesh. But it also make it really sweet to give him his first loss in the SEC. You know what I mean? So give me the boys. Got to go with it. And it's in a tough spot because then they got to turn around and go back-to-back. They do get the away, the bye. Thank you. The bye week. Words are hard. But they do go on back-to-back road trips. They go to Georgia. Auburn didn't get the memo on the whole not playing Georgia and Alabama. They're still playing Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama, unfortunately. So no, I think that's going to be a tough pill to swallow. I think they play Georgia probably better than they played Tennessee, but I don't think they're going to get it done either. And then they play LSU at home. I think they beat LSU.
Ooh.
I do.
Big time win there for Alex
I think
Golesh.
they beat LSU. Alex Golesh is going to get a big signature win, and I think it's right there. They get them at home. I love the spot, and I think it's a great bounce-back win because I think Georgia's a better team than LSU. So if they can play Georgia tight, close, like I think they will, I think that's going to give their team a lot of belief in how close they are to make those adjustments, and I think they're going to make them against LSU. So, at Ole Miss, this is another one I don't necessarily know about, but I do think that the quarterback is better for Ole Miss, and I could be underselling Brown. I really could be. But I do think the quarterback's better than Ole Miss. The reason why I'm checking Tennessee is I think Tennessee overall offensively is just way better aside from the quarterback. I get that, but maybe those questions are answered by the time we're in October. But also Tennessee's defense is going to take a step, man. They can't go backwards. They were terrible last year. So I think they're going to lose to Ole Miss. Oh, I skipped again. Man, I got to stop doing that. It's late. But I think they bounce back. I think they will beat Arkansas at home. And what a way to do this, by the way. Protecting home field. I think that's going to be a key point of Alex Golesh. What did he do so well at Tennessee? Win the home games. So I think he's going to continue that trend, especially in his first year at Auburn. But I think they go at Mississippi State, and I think they actually pick up the win there too. They will beat Samford, but I don't think they're going to get it done against Alabama. They will finish the year, I am high on them, 8-4 in Alex Golesh's first season. Am I confident on it? Probably not. Am I a little high on it? Yeah, probably. But I do think you look back at the end of his first season, and you're like, man, if they could have figured something out in October, which granted, that is a tough stretch. 3 of the 4 games are on the road, and it's Tennessee, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss. That is preseason media. I'm going to say 2 through probably 8 in the SEC. And you got to play them all 4 weeks in a row, basically. It's a tough stretch, but I think this is a good run for Auburn. Pretty high on them. I'm going to say their floor. Let me get to that. Floor. This is this is a swing team, so I'm thinking losing to LSU for sure. If we're talking floor, they probably lost to I'm going to say Baylor because that's a mutual site. I don't see them losing another one. I think their floor this year is 5-7. No. Yeah, I'm going with 5-7 as their floor. That's a pretty high. Yep, I'm going to go with 5-7 as their floor this year. I do think 8-4 is their ceiling. I know I predicted 8-4, but I'm predicting that this is the first time I'm doing this all year. I truly don't see Auburn winning 9 games this year, period. So I do think their ceiling is 8-4, and I am just predicting that they're going their ceiling. Could be a different game. Could be that they actually beat Tennessee, but then they lose to LSU. Whatever, I don't know. But I do think 8-4 is the ceiling.
So 8-4 the ceiling. You said 5-7 is your floor, and 8-4 is a prediction. So really high on Auburn, Alex Golesh in year 1. But it is a schedule that. It does look manageable as far as, being able to go 8-4 on the season. But we'll see exactly what happens. Baylor, week 1, neutral site game. I'm right there with you. because of DJ Lagway being the starting quarterback at Baylor, give me Auburn for the win.
Don't have a moment.
Not confident at all in DJ Lagway. Southern Miss in week 2. I will say, Southern Miss is going to be a very good Group of 6 team this year. But I think Auburn is still good enough that they are going to win this one, no problem. A couple touchdowns. Florida, you mentioned it. There's a lot riding on this game now after some of the comments that was made today at SEC Media Days. But I think that Golesh is going to be up to the challenge. So I'm going to give the win to Florida there. Vanderbilt. I feel like this here is going to be the swing game for Auburn.
I agree.
And the rest of the season.
I agree. It is one of those. It's one of those true 50-50. I feel like the first 50-50 game of the season because I think they beat Florida, but I think you're right. This is a swing game.
Yeah, and I feel like this is one of those games where home field's going to matter. And I do think that when it comes to offense, I trust Alex Golish to over Clark Lee. But I do think Clark Lee overall at this point is a little bit better head coach. The job that he has done
agree.
at Vanderbilt so far. But I think that Golish outcoaches him in this game, and Auburn gets a win. So I'm with you.
As a Tennessee fan, I don't want to see them coming off a loss.
Correct.
So I am throwing a little bit of homerism into this pick. But yes, something Vanderbilt does really well, though, is they capitalize on mistakes, opportunities.
Yep,
They're very opportunistic. So I'm interested to see, can Alex Golish, first-year offense, whatever, will they be able to not make many mistakes and at the same time beat Vanderbilt? That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, so I'm like you. They start off the season really, really hot, 4-0. Then they travel to Knoxville to play against Tennessee, their first road trip of the season. And that cannot be overstated enough, what that first road trip of the season is going to be like. And for it to be in Neyland Stadium, the teams you used to coach for, there's going to be a lot riding on that game as far as Alex Golish goes. He's going to be fired up for it, but I just don't know what they're going to be like going into that environment. I do think that Tennessee is going to get the win in that game. At Georgia, now I'm going to go ahead and say this. Georgia wins the game, but hear me out.
It's going to be a close game.
If Alex Golish has got this team right where he wants them and they're firing on all cylinders, listen to who Georgia has the week before they play Auburn. Because we already see Auburn's got a bye week. Georgia is playing Alabama in Tuscaloosa the week before playing against Auburn.
It ain't Tennessee.
So regardless of if Georgia wins or loses that game, there could be a hangover for Georgia going into that next game against Auburn. And Auburn coming off a bye week, I love this spot for Auburn getting Georgia. I don't think they're going to pull the upset, though. Not in year one. That would be...
Between the hedges, man. It's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. So I do think they get a loss to Georgia. LSU, this game being sandwiched between two more road games, I don't like the spot for LSU here. I do think that it's possible that they could win this one, but it's just going to be tough. I've got a loss to LSU here. And then traveling to Ole Miss, I think home field plays a big part in this one as well.
You got them going winless in the October month?
I do have them going winless in October.
That's dirty. Come on.
They start
Games
off,
ain't won on paper, brother. You got to call a shot here. Let's go.
I know it, but
I hear you. I
don't see a spot on this one.
It's a tough month, man.
That is a tough stretch.
And as a Tennessee fan, their best chance of a win that month could be against Tennessee. So
you might be right.
We're gonna have to definitely play them hard. So
not a good October, going 4-4 going into November, but I think they have a really good November as they start off at home against Arkansas. I think they get a win there. Going on the road in Mississippi State. I think that they also get a win there against Mississippi State. Samford, the week before playing Alabama, that's a win. And then the Iron Bowl, I feel like if it was in Auburn, I would give them a little bit more of a chance. But I think Alabama is going to be playing well at this point in the season. And I think that they take a loss to Alabama. I've got Auburn going 7-5 in year one under Alex Golish.
I like it. I think it'd be kind of cool though that they actually went 8-4 in your schedule, but they beat Alabama. Like, imagine if it went just like that. That'd be kind of cool. And I do think Alabama's beatable this year, man. I don't think I think you're going to see that reflected in my prediction when we do Alabama. But yeah, man, this is I would say a middle of the fairway prediction for Auburn.
Yep. And Auburn, my floor for this team, I've got 4-8 as the floor. That Baylor game, that's gonna be tricky beginning of the season. You never know. DJ Lagway could come out and really play well for Baylor this season. A new scene, new coaching staff, all
actually
that
has
stuff.
An offensive line that somewhat cares about him.
so maybe Baylor is one of those teams coming out of the Big 12 this year that could compete. So that could be tricky. I do think they win against Southern Miss and Samford, obviously. And I think they win 2 more games somewhere along the way. It could be that Arkansas, Mississippi State. It could be, Florida, Vanderbilt. Somewhere along the way, they win 2 more games to get 4 on the season. My ceiling, I'm the same as you. I've got 8-4 as that ceiling. I think they win one of those games in October somewhere. I think they lose to Alabama either way in year 1. I just think Alabama's going to be ready for them this season. But one of those games in the middle of that schedule, I think they could pull off. I don't think they get 2 of them. I agree with you. I don't think they win 9 games. But I think 8-4 is absolutely on the table as the ceiling for this team.
There you go. There it is. And that is our next 2 predictions in the SEC. So just in recap, we've done Arkansas, we've done Kentucky, we've done South Carolina, and I think Arkansas is probably better than Kentucky. It's just Arkansas' schedule is terrible. We've done South Carolina.
I think the Kentucky is going to be better than Arkansas.
Okay, and that's probably true. I'm just saying, like, as a team, Arkansas may be a better team if they were to have the same schedule. Arkansas doesn't have a good schedule. It's really not a good situation over there. But then we've got South Carolina, Florida, Mississippi State, Auburn, obviously what we did these last 2 tonight. Who are we going to be picking next week, Michael?
I've got 3 teams in mind that I feel like could be the next
Tennessee?
3 as far as – no. As far as who I think could be the next 3 in the rotation, and I think Vanderbilt's got to be one of them.
Vanderbilt was definitely my first pick there, so yes, Vanderbilt. And then I'm pretty sure it's somewhat clear who the next one's going to be, but you said you had 3, so who's your next one?
So I was thinking either Oklahoma or Missouri. In the next spot. Missouri.
Yeah, I'm a little higher on Oklahoma, so yeah, I'd like to go with Missouri.
All right, so next week will be Vanderbilt and Missouri.
Kind of thinking Alabama, but it's fine.
Alabama. If you're that low on Alabama, we got to have a talk.
It's not that low, brother. We're in the middle of the SEC now. These teams are going, 7-5, 8-4. Not really 9-3. You're going to be surprised, man. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are finishing 10-2 in the SEC. You could have like 4 or 5 teams 10-2.
Yeah.
So
you know what's crazy? Just looking at the predictions so far is in previous years when we've done this, we've had several teams by now that we've just been completely different on. So far, we've either picked the same for every team or we've been within 1 game of our prediction.
And I am picking my picks live. I've not once told you what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. So, yeah.
I'm
actually writing down what I'm doing so I don't forget how I picked it. So, yeah.
Normally right before we go on, I'll kind of go through. That way I've got a note for who I picked because I want to make sure that I don't double pick a team to win or lose a game, and I know that you do the same on that. You do reference who you've picked before, but yeah, I mean, we both kind of do this live like this, so this is definitely the closest that we have been in the 3 years so far. To
me, it's not a true prediction if you don't stay true to your picks, right? So if that was the case, we'd have like half these teams going 6-6 or 7-5, and that's not a true prediction, in my opinion. So I'm trying to do my best to make sure that all my picks reflect each other. So yeah, I mean that it's cool. I think it earns more respect by doing it that way, but it could also lead to those very embarrassing moments at the end of the year when you said you had Arkansas going 3-9 and they went whatever, dude. I'm sorry. Who would have ever thought?
So we've got our 2 schedule predictions for next week. We got a position preview we got to do. We did offensive line last week.
Quarterback. Now that we know the starter. Thanks, Joey Petersen.
Hey, we want to talk about quarterbacks. I'm down with that.
We missed that segment. I encourage y'all to go back, watch the first 40 minutes or so of the show. What an awesome segment that was, man. But yes, what are we going to do? We started defensively, though, didn't we? We did the linebackers. What did we do?
Well, we talked a little bit about linebackers when we did our breakout players.
That's right.
But we didn't really go in depth. But I don't know. We could talk about linebackers next week if you want to.
I'm afraid that if we talk linebackers, we might as well just talk front 7 because sounds like.
I mean, we could tie it all into one.
I think that's what we do. I think we do that. Defensive line and linebackers. Because it sounds like there could be 2 linebackers that are defensive line. So, yeah, I'm excited. That's going to be fun. You got to put your best 11 on the field, man. So I don't disagree with it. I think it'd be super cool. Edwin Spillman's too good to not play.
100%.
So, I mean, you got Spill out there. You got Arion Carter out there. You've got the transfer. Help me out. Amari Campbell out there. Jade Perlotti out there. Telander out there. That's the problem. I just named 5 so quick that have had legitimate starting experience. I cannot wait to break that down with you next week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So as Skylar mentioned a minute ago, if you missed the Joey Petersen segment that we did at the very beginning, highly recommend you go and check that out. I will be clipping that video down a little bit, so it will be posted hopefully tomorrow. If not, it'll definitely be Friday that I post that on YouTube. I'll share it on Facebook as well to everybody. So definitely check that out. Go in our YouTube description and follow Joey on all of his links. We've got his YouTube, his Twitter, and his TikTok link in the description on YouTube. That should be shared on Facebook as well. If you haven't had a chance already, make sure you do like and subscribe to the channel. It just helps us out as well. We're just 2 Vol fans, and we're trying to deliver our love of Tennessee to everybody else. And then we had a fantastic conversation with Joey tonight. Cannot wait to have him back on the podcast. Hopefully we can have him on if the schedule works out right. Maybe a time or 2 or 3 during the season, just, at different points. We kind of give our grades at the end of every, quarter, I guess you would say. Maybe we try to have him on there for that. So he can kind of give his thoughts on how Tennessee is doing as well. What do you think about that, Skylar?
Man, I don't mind it whatsoever, man. I think no matter what, we're just blessed to be able to talk about ball.
Yep.
And to be able to do that with other people, share that experience, that's what I'm all about. And that's why we started this, man. So I'm giddy. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it, man. So once again, appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. From Skylar and myself, we hope that you have a great week, and we cannot wait to see you next week. Go Big Orange, everybody.
Let's go.